Hey, I am John Barker, and welcome back to another episode of Here to Record Show and Tell. Now, this is the show all about the gear you need for live production and live streaming. Today we're going to take a look at the Blackmagic Design Intensity Shuttle. This is their HDMI and analog capture device. And here's the device itself on the table. On this side we have the inputs. We have HDMI in, we have component in, S-video in, and we have composite in as well. And then flipping around to the other side of the device, we have almost the same things, but in the reverse order, and it's output this time. So HDMI output, we have the component output, S-video output, and finally the composite output. That just leaves the USB to plug it into your computer. And that is pretty much it. The device is pretty simple. It is quite big, but it's pretty simple. So what would you use this device for? Well, basically, in my case, for conferences and for meetups, I use this to live stream, and I use it to capture a presenter's laptop or presentation. So basically what I can do is plug in HDMI on this side, and that comes in through USB to my MacBook Pro. And on the other side, I can pass out the same HDMI feed off to a projector or something like that. So let's plug it into the computer and see what it does. The nice thing is they give you the USB cable that you'll need. So let's just plug that in and just plug it into the computer. And first up, let's just go into the desktop utility. So this is Blackmagic Design's software for the device, desktop video utility. Here I can see my intensity shuttle that I've just plugged in. And at a glance, I can see some of the settings that are on the device, but I'll just go straight in and change some of these settings. So for video input, I can choose HDMI, the component, composite, or S-video. I tend to use HDMI, so let's just stick with that. I tend to only use this device as an input device, but let's just take a look at what the output settings are as well. So for video output, I can choose the format in here. So as you can see, I can go all the way up to 1080 60i. And there are a few other settings here as well in terms of the NTSC settings and video settings. Let's go into audio tab, and here you can choose where the audio input is. In my case, it's embedded through the HDMI, but you can also plug in analog connection as well. And that will give you a few settings. Here you can see the 2-channel audio levels, or for the analog, I can choose some more settings for the input and output. Let's just stick with embedded for now. And then finally, conversions. This allows you to convert the input or the output. In my case, I don't really want any conversions, so I just leave it as it is. And finally, about, I can see what driver I'm running, when it was last updated, December 2015. Perhaps I should just take a look and see if there's anything new since then. And a look at the manual as well. So let's just save that and close out of it. And let's just head into Blackmagic's Media Express. So what Media Express lets you do is it lets you record whatever's coming in to this device over the USB. So what I have is a HDMI cable that's just coming from the overhead camera above me. And I can just plug that into the HDMI input on the, on the Intensity Shuttle. And if I head back to the computer and I go to the Log and Capture tab, I can see, there we go, the feed coming from that overhead camera in through the HDMI, then via USB to my computer. So there you can see how easy it is to get going with the Intensity Shuttle. What you can also do is, what I do is use Wirecast or some sort of streaming service to come in via HDMI over USB to your computer, and you can stream live with that. I actually have a more detailed version of how to set up a 3-cam or multicam setup, and you can watch that video up here in the top corner. That might be interesting to you if you want to go for something like this in order to do a multicam setup or live streaming rig. Now I went for the USB 3 version of this Intensity Shuttle, but you can also get a Thunderbolt version. The only problem for me is that all my Thunderbolt connections are used up on the computer with other devices, so I went for the USB 3 version. But if that's something that you want to use instead, then you can go ahead and use the Thunderbolt version instead. For me, one of the main pros on this device is the fact that it does that USB. Like I said, my Thunderbolt ports, they fill up pretty fast with other devices. So the fact that I can bring in another source via USB is one of the main reasons that I got this device. In terms of cons, I would say the device is just a little bit bigger than I would like it to be. I only really use the HDMI in and the USB connections, so for me it is way overkill for what I use. If you're somebody who wants the component or the composite inputs and outputs, then that could be really great for you. But for me, it's just a little bit big for what I use it for. And of course, that other issue is HDCP. This device will not let you put anything through it that is copy protected. It's just not going to work. So if you want to do something that's copy protected, then you're going to have to find a way around the HDCP, or you're going to have to do something that's not copy protected. That is the unfortunate part about most of these devices, whether they're expensive ones, inexpensive ones. They just don't let you send through copy protected material. I guess I understand why that is, but it does make it very difficult for people like myself, or possibly yourself, who use this for live production for fully normal reasons. You're legitimate all the way. You just want to capture a presentation on a laptop. You're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, but it just makes it really difficult for people like us who just want this device and who just want it to work. And HDCP, it often just doesn't work. It's just a black screen. It doesn't tell you that, hey, this is copy protected material. It just doesn't work. So it's difficult to troubleshoot those kind of issues. So that just leaves the pricing of the device. It's about £160, $200, excluding any taxes. So that leaves it in a pretty affordable price range, I think, for what you get. There are plenty of other options out there that are more or less expensive that do the same or more features. I think it's kind of, middle of the road pricing feature wise. So in that case, I recommend it if you want to do inputs and outputs and you have the need for some of these sort of analog connections. But if you're looking for something that's a little more slimlined, it has just HDMI, then maybe the Ultra Studio mini recorders are a better bet for your money. So that's everything you might need to know about the Intensity Shuttle, and hopefully you found this useful. We have plenty more episodes of Show and Tell in our playlist, and don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.